On my 29th birthday, my parents withdrew my $3.9 million savings and walked straight into my trap. The alert came through at 9:47 a.m. Wells Fargo, wire transfer completed. $3,947,219.54. My phone was face up on the conference table at Amazon's Seattle office. Everyone in the meeting saw my expression change. "You okay?" my manager asked. I picked up my phone and smiled. "Yeah. Actually, I'm perfect." Because the money my parents had just stolen from me? I'd spent 8 months setting them up to take it. The account was bait. The real money was hidden. And every dollar they'd transferred was monitored by the FBI. My parents thought they were clever. Thought they'd found a loophole. Thought family access meant they could take whatever they wanted. They were wrong. And by the time they realized what I'd done, they'd already committed federal wire fraud. Sometimes the best traps are the ones people walk into willingly. My parents just stole $4 million from their own daughter. And I'd been waiting for them to do it. My name is Avery Palmer, and I'm 29 years old. I'm a senior product manager at Amazon Web Services in Seattle, Washington. I make $310,000 a year in base salary, plus stock and bonuses that push my total compensation to around $480,000 annually. I've worked at Amazon for 7 years, since I graduated from Stanford. I lived like a broke student the entire time, spending maybe $35,000 a year on a tiny apartment in Capitol Hill, groceries from Trader Joe's, and nothing else. Everything else went into savings and aggressive index fund investments. By last year, I had $3.9 million in liquid assets. No debt. No car payment. Just pure accumulated wealth from discipline and compound interest. My parents, Richard and Patricia Palmer, live in Bellevue, one of Seattle's wealthy suburbs. My father is a commercial real estate broker. My mother hasn't worked in 25 years. They live in a $1.8 million house with a water view and belong to a country club that costs $30,000 a year in dues. They've always looked wealthy. But I'd suspected for years that they were drowning in debt behind the facade. My younger sister Brooke, 26, is exactly like them. She works sporadically as a brand consultant, which means she posts on Instagram and occasionally gets paid $500 for it. She lives in a luxury apartment in downtown Seattle that costs $3,400 a month. My parents pay her rent. I've always been different. The responsible one. The one who worked 80-hour weeks, saved aggressively, and never asked for anything. 8 months ago, everything changed. It was a Saturday in October. I'd driven to my parents' house in Bellevue for my mother's birthday dinner. The house was full of people, relatives, family, friends, the usual crowd. I was helping my mother in the kitchen when I saw her phone light up on the counter. A notification from Wells Fargo mobile banking. The account number in the notification looked familiar. It ended in 7624. That was my savings account. "Mom, why are you getting notifications from my Wells Fargo account?" She grabbed her phone quickly. "What?" "I'm not. I just saw it. Account ending in 7624. That's mine." She looked flustered. "Oh, that. You added me as an authorized user years ago, remember? For emergencies." I did remember. When I'd opened the account at 22, fresh out of Stanford, I'd added both parents as authorized users. Just in case something happened to me. I'd completely forgotten about it. "Why are you logged into my account?" "I was just checking to make sure everything looked okay." "You worked so hard, I wanted to make sure your money was safe." It sounded reasonable. But something felt wrong. "How often do you check it?" "Not often. Maybe once a month." I didn't believe her. But I didn't push it. I just filed it away. When I got home that night to my apartment in Capitol Hill, I logged into my Wells Fargo account and checked the login history. My mother had been accessing my account twice a week for the past 4 months. Just looking. Checking the balance. Reviewing transactions. But not doing anything. Yet. I called my college roommate, Nina. She's a cybersecurity analyst at Microsoft. Nina, I think my parents might be planning to steal from me. I explained the situation. She was quiet for a moment. Avery, if they have authorized user access, they can legally transfer money out. You gave them that permission. 7 years ago. For emergencies. Doesn't matter. The bank sees them as authorized. If they transfer funds, it's technically not theft from the bank's perspective. So I'm just supposed to let them rob me? No. You remove their access immediately. And you document everything first. What if I want to catch them? Prove what they're planning? That's risky. And possibly illegal entrapment. Not if I'm just protecting my assets and they choose to steal on their own. Nina was silent. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I want proof. Clear, undeniable proof of their intentions. Over the next 2 weeks, I developed a plan. Risky, elaborate, but one that would give me exactly what I needed. First, I opened new accounts at 3 different banks. Chase, Bank of America, and U.S. Bank. I moved $3.8 million out of my Wells Fargo account in careful, gradual transfers that looked like normal investment rebalancing. Then I did something calculated. I deposited $4 million into the Wells Fargo account. Fresh money from liquidating stock options and transferring funds from other investments. My account balance went from $100,000 to $4,047,219.54 in a week. I left my parents' authorized access exactly as it was. I wanted to see what they'd do when they saw $4 million sitting there. Next, I contacted a lawyer. His name was James Park, and he specialized in financial fraud at a firm on 4th Avenue in downtown Seattle. James, I believe my parents are planning to steal my savings. I want to create a situation where, if they do it, I have bulletproof evidence for prosecution. He listened carefully to my plan. Avery, you're essentially baiting them into committing wire fraud. That's a federal crime. Are you prepared to send your parents to prison? If they choose to steal from me, yes. This is irreversible. Once you start this, there's no going back. I thought about every time they'd favored Brooke. Every time I'd worked myself to exhaustion while she got everything handed to her. Every time my success was downplayed while her mediocrity was celebrated. I'm ready. James drafted legal documents. A sworn affidavit stating that my parents' account access was strictly for life-threatening emergencies only. Any other use constituted theft. We had it notarized and timestamped with video documentation. He also helped me set up monitoring. Any transfer over $5,000 would alert him, me, and a contact he had at the FBI's Seattle field office. Now you wait, he said. And hope they don't take the bait. But I knew they would. I'd seen the way my mother looked at that balance. The calculation in her eyes. For 8 months, I watched them through that account like it was a window into their souls. My mother logged in 3 times a week. I could see her checking the balance, looking at the activity. The $4 million sat there, untouched, tempting. During those 8 months, I played the perfect daughter. I had dinner with them monthly. I smiled when they asked me for loans for Brooke. I pretended not to notice when my father mentioned their cash flow issues. But I was watching. Documenting. Waiting. In December, my father asked me directly about investing in a business opportunity with him. Avery, I have a commercial real estate deal. Warehouse property in Tacoma. Guaranteed 20% return in 2 years. I need investors. Would you be interested in putting in $500,000? I'm pretty conservative with my investments, Dad. This is as safe as it gets. I've been in this business 30 years. Send me the details. I'll have my financial advisor look at it. He never sent details. Because there was no deal. In February, my mother mentioned they were having financial difficulties. Your father's commission structure changed. We're having to tighten our belts. That's rough. Have you considered downsizing the house? She looked horrified. We can't leave this neighborhood. What would people think? In April, Brooke asked me for $30,000 to start a clothing boutique. I said no. She called me selfish and said our parents would help her instead. In May, my father brought up my Wells Fargo account directly. Avery, your mother mentioned you've done really well with your savings. Nearly $4 million. That's incredible at your age. I've been lucky. Have you thought about diversifying? Putting some into real estate or private equity? I have advisors who handle that. If you ever want family input, we're here. We have experience you could benefit from. I knew exactly what he meant. They were preparing their approach. 2 weeks later, my mother called with an urgent request. Avery, your father and I have an opportunity. A friend of his has a development deal in Bellevue. Luxury condos. Pre-sale investments are available. We need to move $750,000 by Friday to secure our position. We'd like you to partner with us. That's a lot of money, Mom. We'd put in our share. This could set us all up for life. I need to think about it. We need an answer by Thursday. The window closes. I told her I'd consider it. I never called back. June arrived. My 29th birthday was June 21st. On June 15th, I got an alert from James. Suspicious activity on your Wells Fargo account. Your parents accessed it multiple times today. They appear to be setting up a wire transfer. Let them, I said. Don't interfere. Avery, once that money moves. I know. Let it happen. On June 18th, I got another alert. Wire transfer scheduled for June 21st at 9:30 a.m. Carter Family Trust LLC. Amount, $3,947,219.54. My birthday. They'd scheduled it for my birthday. I called James. It's happening. Do you want to stop it? No. I want them to complete it. Full crime, full evidence. You're sure? Completely. On the morning of June 21st, my actual birthday, I was in a product strategy meeting at Amazon Seattle campus. My phone was on the conference table, face up. At 9:47 a.m., the notification appeared. Wells Fargo, wire transfer completed. $3,947,219.54 to Carter Family Trust LLC. My manager, Susan, noticed my expression. Avery, you okay? I picked up my phone and smiled. Yeah. Actually, I'm perfect. I excused myself from the meeting and walked to an empty conference room. I called my father. He answered cheerfully. Avery, happy birthday, sweetheart. Dad, you just transferred $4 million out of my account. The silence was thick and immediate. Avery, let me explain. I'm listening. Your mother and I found an incredible investment opportunity. Time sensitive. We needed to move quickly. We'll triple the money in 18 months. We're doing this for you. Did you ask me for permission? We have full access to that account. You authorized us years ago. Technically, this is legal. Technically, it's wire fraud. You stole $4 million from me. We borrowed it. We'll pay you back with massive returns. You'll thank us. When were you planning to tell me? Today. Right now. Happy birthday, sweetheart. We just made you a multimillionaire. I already was a multimillionaire. Now I'm a victim of theft. Don't be dramatic. This is a family investment. We're all in this together. What investment, Dad? What's Carter Family Trust? It's the investment vehicle for the deal. Your mother and I set it up. So you created an LLC, transferred my money into it without asking, and you think that's legal? You gave us access to the account. The bank approved the transfer. It's completely legal. We'll see what the FBI thinks about that. His voice went cold. You wouldn't. Watch me. I hung up and immediately called James. File the complaint. Wire fraud, theft by deception, unauthorized use of account access. Everything. Avery, last chance. Are you absolutely certain? They stole $4 million from me on my birthday. Yes, I'm certain. James filed the complaint with the FBI's Seattle field office within an hour. The complaint included my sworn affidavit, 8 months of account access logs showing my mother's monitoring activity, the wire transfer records, and documentation that the Carter Family Trust LLC was created by my father 3 weeks before the theft. By evening, I had a call from FBI Special Agent Rachel Kim. Ms. Palmer, we've reviewed your complaint. We need to meet with you to discuss the details. We met the next morning at a Starbucks near Pike Place Market. Agent Kim was thorough and professional. Walk me through the timeline. I explained everything. The discovery 8 months ago. The trap I'd set. The bait account. The monitoring. The theft on my birthday. You intentionally left money accessible knowing they'd likely take it? Yes. I wanted clear evidence of intent. If I'd just removed their access, they could claim they didn't realize I no longer wanted them to have it. This way, they actively chose to transfer a specific amount on a specific date. Agent Kim made notes. That's actually strategic. It shows premeditation on their part. What happens now? We investigate. Interview your parents, trace the LLC, follow the money. If everything checks out, we'll refer it to the U.S. Attorney for prosecution. How long? Couple months, probably. We'll freeze the transferred funds. They won't be able to access or spend that money. My parents found out about the FBI investigation within days. My father called, furious. You reported us to the FBI? Your own parents? You stole $4 million from me. We were investing it for the family's benefit. This is insane. Then explain it to the FBI. This will destroy us. Your father could lose his license. We could lose everything. You should have thought about that before committing federal wire fraud. My mother tried emotion. She sent a long letter, handwritten, delivered by mail. Avery, we're so sorry. We made a terrible mistake. We were desperate. Your father's business is struggling. We have debts you don't know about. We saw the money and we thought we could borrow it, invest it, make returns, and pay you back before you noticed. We never meant to hurt you. Please drop the FBI investigation. We'll return every penny. Don't destroy your family over this. I read it once and put it in a folder labeled evidence. Brooke called, crying. Avery, how could you? Mom and Dad made a mistake. They were trying to help the family. And you're sending them to prison? They stole $4 million, Brooke. That's not helping anyone. They were going to pay you back. Without asking me first. That's called theft. You're going to destroy this family over money. You're sick. I'm protecting myself from criminals. Even if they're related to me. The FBI investigation moved fast. Within 6 weeks, they'd traced everything. Carter Family Trust LLC was a shell company created by my father. The $3.9 million was transferred there, then immediately distributed. $1.2 million went to pay off my parents' mortgage and credit card debts. $800,000 went to Brooke, listed as business investment. $1.5 million was moved to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. The remaining $400,000 sat in the LLC account, untouched. There was no investment opportunity. No development deal. No real estate. Just theft, covered with an LLC to make it look legitimate. In September, the U.S. Attorney's Office filed charges. Wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. My father and mother were both charged. Brooke was charged as an accessory for receiving stolen funds knowing they were obtained illegally. They were arrested at their Bellevue home on a Thursday morning. The local news covered it. Bellevue couple arrested in $4 million fraud scheme. I watched the news segment from my desk at Amazon. My father in handcuffs. My mother crying. Brooke screaming at reporters. I felt nothing. The trial was in February. I testified for 3 days, walking through the timeline, the trap, the theft, the aftermath. The defense tried to paint me as cold and calculating, setting up my own parents to fail. They argued that I'd entrapped them, that the money was theirs to access because I'd authorized them years ago. But the prosecution had 8 months of evidence showing my parents' planning. The account monitoring. The LLC creation. The scheduled transfer on my birthday. The immediate distribution of stolen funds. The jury took 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing was in March. My father got 7 years in federal prison. My mother got 5 years. Brooke got 3 years in probation for receiving stolen property. I sat in the courtroom and watched the judge hand down sentences. My mother sobbed. My father stared straight ahead. Brooke glared at me with pure hatred. I walked out of the courthouse feeling nothing but finality. The money was returned to me in full. The FBI seized all accounts, liquidated the offshore holdings, and transferred everything back. I actually got back $4,012,000 because of some interest earned before the accounts were frozen. I kept it all. Didn't donate a penny. It was mine. I'd earned it. And I'd protected it. 8 months after the trial, I'm thriving. I got promoted to director at Amazon, pushing my compensation to $620,000 annually. I bought a house in Madison Park with views of Lake Washington. I'm engaged to someone who thinks what I did was completely justified. I haven't spoken to any of them since the sentencing. They'll be in prison for years. When they get out, I'll have a restraining order waiting. Some relatives sided with my parents, calling me cruel and vindictive. Others sided with me, saying theft is theft regardless of family. I don't care about either opinion. I did what I needed to do. People ask if I feel guilty for setting the trap. For letting them steal instead of just removing their access. I don't. Because the trap didn't make them steal. It revealed that they were willing to steal. There's a difference. If I'd just removed their access, they would have found another way. They would have manipulated me, guilt me, or found some other method to take what they wanted. The trap gave me proof. Clear, undeniable, prosecutable proof. My parents withdrew my $3.9 million savings on my 29th birthday. And walked straight into a trap I'd spent 8 months building. They thought they were clever. Thought family access meant ownership. Thought I'd never fight back. They were wrong on all counts. I'm Avery Palmer. I'm 30 years old. I have $6.7 million in savings now. And I have zero contact with the family that tried to rob me. Some people call me cold for what I did. I call it justice. Because some traps aren't cruel. They're just mirrors that show people exactly who they are. My parents looked in that mirror and saw thieves. And now they're paying the price. If your family ever thought your success gave them permission to take what you earned, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Your money is yours, not theirs. Hit subscribe if you believe that protecting yourself from family theft isn't betrayal, it's survival. Because I'll be here every week with stories about people who refuse to be victims, even when the predators were their own blood. Drop a blue heart in the comments if you've ever had to set a trap to prove what you already knew was true. If you've ever been called cold for refusing to be stolen from. If you've ever had to choose between family peace and your own protection. You don't owe anyone access to what you built. Not even parents. Not even family. Share this with someone who needs to hear that sometimes the only way to stop a thief is to let them commit the crime, then bring the evidence to court. Your savings are sacred. Your boundaries are law. And you are never wrong for protecting what's yours. See you in the next story.